Hi, I like to draw your attention to a word that intrigues me. I love words. Do you too? This comes from Greek origin and is combined by the words anti, meaning opposite, and the root word pod, meaning foot. Antipod, opposite foot, or loosely translated as the exact opposite, contrary, with feet opposite to our own. Now mainly used to indicate inhabitants from opposite sides of the globe geographically, and by those on the Northern Hemisphere in its plural form, the Antipodes, to point out Australia and New Zealand. 18,500 kilometers, 11,500 miles. That is roughly the physical distance between the place that I was born and raised and the place that I live now. And apart from the different locations, there's also a difference in me, myself. The way I used to be, a very shy introvert, scared to talk to others, and the person I am now, braving my fears, challenging myself in many ways, and actually pursuing public speaking, which is one of the reasons I do the things like this. Hi, I'm Joyce van der Lely. I was born in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, a port city, oldest of two sisters in an entrepreneurial family. My father owned a large automotive business that he built with working hard after taking over my grandfather's bicycle repair shop. How much more Dutch can you get, right? My grandfather's wife, my grandmother, came from a province in Holland called Zeeland, which is the same place that Abel Tasman came from, and the reason why he called this country New Zealand, New Zealand. So growing up, my sister and I were very different. She was always referred to as so much like my dad, practical with a business sense and leadership qualities. She was also born on my dad's birthday. Me, on the other hand, I was always the creative, dreaming, building castles in the sky, making up stories, illustrating them, living on my own little cloud, and with a big desire for independence, adventure, and freedom. That made my life a bit like a roller coaster, but all in all, I had a lovely childhood with a mostly supportive environment, very traditionally Dutch, no nonsense, hardworking, strict rules, strong values, and expectations to study well, find a job, work hard, save up for later. Perhaps this was also because my parents grew up during and after the war. So when I came to New Zealand with my partner, we picked to live in Christchurch on the South Island. Holland is as big as Canterbury, the province of Canterbury, and had 16 million inhabitants. So we loved the geography, the scenery, the space. We settled down and made our home. And it was actually a lot harder than this sounds, but we did it. And we had both our kids there, a now almost 17-and-a-half-year-old son and a 14-year-old girl. Life was, as you call it down here, pretty sweet. And then Tuesday, the 22nd of February 2011, I was in the center of the city when the big earthquake happened. And it shook me. I mean, so many things go through your mind at a time like that. And still, it was almost like it wasn't even happening for real. I felt like looking down on myself in a weird movie or a strange computer game or something like that. I remember thinking, what am I doing here? And why am I here? And how on earth are we all going to get out of this? So many things were lost and so much was destroyed. And mainly, is the family safe? And luckily, we all were. We only lost material stuff, which in the scope of things is really not important at all. About a year after, when we realized that the rebuild was going to take a lot longer than we had anticipated, did we decide to pack up whatever we had left and take another leap of faith, this time with kids and cat, and move to the North Island, to the Bay of Plenty, where I am now. We thought if only the kids would have a stable place to grow through their teenage years. And in hindsight, perhaps the earthquakes needed to happen for us to make changes. It definitely was a wake-up call, and it made big shifts for me. I came to realize that it is really good, a really good thing to be a creative, determined dreamer. That I have stories that are worthwhile sharing, that my ideas and techniques are helpful, inspirational, even transformational for others. My passion and vision is now stronger than my insecurities and fears ever were. I now listen to that force, that little voice, the force inside of me. And I believe we all have that, by the way. Ever since we came to the Bay, I set up a studio and I managed to be the main income earner for our family with doing the things that I am good at, being creative, being determined, being a dreamer. I teach art classes, art healing practices, and I coach mindset and business strategies to multi-passionate women. I have stories from north to south, from east to west. Antipodes, a beautiful word. Diametrically opposite sides of the earth. My feet have walked on both sides. Does that make me then my own antipode? What do you think? If you like this video and you like to hear more, subscribe to the channel or leave a comment. I love to interact with you. See you next time.